The new Motorola RAZR 40 Ultra is official, and this thing packs the biggest and smoothest front and inner screen of any flip phone out now. What's also cool is if you pick it up in Magenta, it is the lightest flip phone around, and whichever color you pick it up in, it's the thinnest when closed. Bigger screen, smaller body. Pretty neat. But there are a few things that make me question this phone as well. The camera is basically the same spec as the Samsung Galaxy S10 with its small sensor and 12 megapixel resolution. What's more, you also have a pretty mediocre battery capacity, not much bigger than the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 4 and much smaller than the Oppo Find N2 Flip. So what's this phone really like? I'm going to give you some hands-on impressions in a moment, but before I do, it is giveaway time. You can win a pair of brand new Urbanears Juno active noise cancelling headphones. All of the details are in the description below. Check out the YouTube short, let me know your favorite color, and you're in with a chance. Right, back to the Motorola RAZR 40 Ultra. This thing is a sleekster. When it's closed, it's just 15.1 millimeters, which is thinner than the Galaxy Z Flip 4, Oppo Find N2 Flip, and last year's RAZR. And at 184.5 grams in magenta or 188.5 grams in blue or black. It's also lighter than most flagship phones today, despite the fact it's got a hinge inside. Better still, Motorola has upgraded the IP rating. It's now IP52 dust and splash resistant, which isn't quite Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 4 water resistant with that IPX8 rating, but it's more dust resistant than any of the competition. From a styling point of view, Motorola's been moving away from the big chins of old school RAZRs for a while, and this phone is the nearest to the symmetrical Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 4, Oppo Find N2 Flip styling we've seen from Moto to date. And honestly, I really like it, not least of all because there is one key differentiator, that freaking ginormous front display. The front screen on this thing takes up pretty much the entire front half, just two cutouts for that camera and a little bit of space around the sides. Measuring 3.6 inches, the cover screen might not sound that much bigger than the 3.15-inch cover screen on the Oppo Find N2 Flip or the 2.7-inch cover screen on last year's Motorola RAZR, but that's diagonal measurements. It's not actually taking account screen surface area into consideration. Because this year's RAZR has a more square display, it's actually got a larger surface area than its diagonal measurement suggests. So while the biggest cover screen before today, the Find N2 Flip, is 4.47 inches squared, the Motorola RAZR 40 Ultra has a ridiculous 6.47 inches squared or thereabouts cover screen, so it's much bigger. It's also smoother at 144 Hz, and that extra size and smoothness extends inside the phone as well. The 6.9-inch 22:9 main display on this thing is a 165 Hz OLED display, so it should absolutely glide. What's also really cool is that Motorola made both screens to have exactly the same pixel density, 413 pixels per inch, so they're really nice and sharp, and more importantly, super consistent. On day one, it really is too early to say whether or not there's going to be a noticeable crease on this thing after a long time, but on first impression, it looks really nice and subtle. And the folding mechanism also feels nice and smooth as well. If you're wondering what you can actually do on the cover screen, well, pretty much anything you can do on the main screen, yet Motorola has brought back the ability to run full apps on the cover display, and with all that extra space, that feature is likely going to be more useful than ever and should deliver some battery saving benefits so you don't have to open the phone every time you want to dive into an app of your choice. Now on to probably my least favorite thing about this phone on paper, the camera. The reason it's such a bummer is because the sensors 1/2.55 inches based on the pixel size and the 12 megapixel resolution that Motorola shared details of. Now, this is Samsung Galaxy S10 size camera tech. It may be brought up to speed with 2023 processing and sensor technology, so I'm not going to call it just yet. And there's a super wide f1.4 aperture at play as well that should let a decent amount of light in. But at the heart, you have a tiny sensor. This can be remedied by a few of the modes that Motorola is cramming in to help you do part folded capture so you can rest the phone on a surface. Should be a great selfie camera, but if you're a serious photographer who wants really nice noise handling and decent depth of field from your shots, this probably won't be the phone for you. Having said that, the ultra wide actually looks pretty respectable. Its 13 megapixel resolution is coupled with autofocus, which means this thing is a macro camera as well as an all-seeing eye. As for the selfie camera inside the phone when you open it up, it's at the top of the display. It's got a 32 megapixel resolution and an f2.4 aperture. Takes 8 megapixel pictures by way of pixel binning. Now, if you're wondering what's powering this thing along, it's a Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 chipset, and that's matched with either 8 or 12 gigabytes of LPDDR5 RAM and 256 or 512 gigabytes of UFS 3.1 storage. While the Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 might be throwing a few people who see this as a premium phone and want the latest technology inside, I'm not too bummed about it personally. It's a proven chipset when it comes to handling thermals and powering foldables as well, so I know it's going to deliver a decent experience, even if it isn't the most powerful on the block. As for the battery, while this thing cannot hold a candle to the Oppo Find N2 Flip, and it's huge for a foldable 4,300 milliamp cell at 3,800 milliamps, it's 300 milliamps bigger than last year's Razer, 100 milliamps bigger than the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 4, and this is the first Razer to pack wireless charging. Now, the wireless charging speed is slow at 5 watts, but I'll take it. And I'll also take the 33 watt wired charging, and it ships with the charger in the box. I'm not too worried about this not having the biggest battery around because, like I said, with that large cover screen, I reckon I could get quite a lot done with it, save me having to open it all the time. But I'm looking forward to putting that theory to the test. I also really hope I get to review the Viva Magenta one. It's Motorola's hot pink take on the Pantone color of the year, and they've also announced the Motorola Edge 40 in that color as well, and it looks very fun. But if you're feeling a little bit more conservative, you can pick the phone up in Glacier Blue or Infinite Black. So what do you think about Motorola's announcements? Me personally, I'm super excited because they've got this kind of pincer movement going on. You've got the Motorola RAZR 40, which is more affordable than any other clamshell flip phone before it, hopefully convince more people to try one out. And you've got the RAZR 40 Ultra, and it's going to challenge really experienced foldable users like myself to use my phone in different ways. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, click that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and remember to check out the description below so you can be in with a chance to win a new set of Urbanears Juno active noise cancelling headphones. Thanks for watching.